This is a getting started video for Virtual Surveyor. When we start out here, I clicked on New. You got to make sure, of course, you have an activated license and so on. Even a trial will work for this, but it can't be expired. Otherwise, you have a limited number of commands you can use. But I'm just going to do New here. I've already done it, so I don't want to go through that process. But here's the project that we started out with New. Now, there's a couple of DSM and orthos in here. Now, it comes up under No Layers. So I'm going to click this right here, this little down arrow here. And it gives me the two different kinds. So I've got this one here. This is just the DSM, comes from Pix4D, and you find that file under the Pix4D third process, I should say, and you can see it under ortho. So that's one of them. The other one is this one here, which is this ortho mosaic. And this mosaic is kind of a long name, but you have the DSM and you have the mosaic. So let me turn these off to show you which one's which. So this is the DSM. This is what it looks like by itself. And you can see there's a elevation and so on like that attached to it, which you need to have in order to do this software. And then here's this is just the photo itself, the mosaic that all stitched together like you would get directly out of Pix4D. So those are the two files that are required in order to function with Virtual Surveyor. That's what it needs to have for elevation and so on. So we've got the DSM and the regular mosaic. Now, once you've got that done, I'll go ahead and collapse that up there. We'll leave both those on. The next step, and this is an important step, if you're going to extract data and to go into CAD, which is what we're doing with this software, you're going to click down here on the bottom here where it says Project Coordinate System. I've already put something in, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It'll come up with undefined. So we're going to click on here, and I'm going to just start typing in. In this case, I know this is Utah. So I'm going to type in Utah, and I've got several different ones. Now I want the NAD 83 Utah Central feet. That's what we are. That's where this project took place. So I'm going to click that in there, and then I'm going to apply that. So as soon as it does that, you can see it says NAD 83 Utah Central feet. So that's the state plane coordinate system that I want this to be in. That's important because as you go to export, you're going to be in the correct coordinate system as well. You can also see that down below here, it shows where you are on the screen. You can see the XY down in the lower hand corner to be able to know what coordinates you're physically at as far as state plane goes. Okay, the next step is you're going to want to draw a border. So we're going to go up here and go click on, actually before I do that, I want to go to layers. So I'm going to click on the down arrow here and click on layer, and I've already created a couple of these layers. So one of them is called boundary. I'm just going to select that. I'm going to put on the boundary layer. It shows up here, and I'm going to now create a layer. So you can do a line. I want to make this out of magenta. So I'm going to go magenta, and I want some line thickness on this thing that's probably a little thicker. So I'm going to go something like that. Okay, I'm just going to now just click on boundary, and I'll go over here like this. Hit the right button, and I've got a boundary. So that's on that layer there. So now I have one boundary. I can turn that off if I want to. Uncheck that, the boundary goes off. So that's why it's helpful to have the layers on. You don't want to be able to use that. And I'm just going to hit the escape key to get out of that command. So now I want to go over here and I want to go create some points. And I'm calling them low pass points. What I want to do next is do a low pass, because see if I zoom up on this, I've got trees and shrubs and stuff like this. And I don't really want to deal with those. I want to get rid of all that stuff. So this is just holding the wheel down, picking the left button and scrolling in and out. This is all I need to worry about here for right now. I'm going to do this low pass for points here. So first thing to do is set up my layer, which I did. So I'm going to go low. Okay, so that's the current layer. It shows up over here. That's great. Now I want to go over here to this point grid, but before I do that, I want to click on the low pass one. This does low pass is going to pick up anything, the lowest terrain that it can find within this 100-foot grid size. So I'm going to go, I think with 50 foot, it'd be a little bit better, 50 feet. Okay, so now that's the grid size. It's a low pass. That's the style I'm doing. So I'm just going to click this boundary. So I've selected it. Now I can do the point grid. It's still all set up like I want to. Point grid. And it's going to calculate over here in the lower left. It's going to calculate every part of this that is a low pass. Once in a while, you get something that's a little bit off. So I'm just going to check a few things out to make sure that I don't have something, one of these points in a place that's like right on top of some of these shrubs or anything like this. It looks like, those are all pretty good. From that distance, it's hard to tell exactly. Nope, that's on the ground. So we're good there. I think I'm happy with this. Check a couple other areas. Points there look like they're fairly normal. This is going to be as though I was out there surveying it. And so every 50 feet, there's a grid point that is actually a 3D point that I can use to create my surface. So that works great. It really simplifies my surface instead of dealing with making all this contours and all the different elements, vertical elements. So now the next thing to do is I'm going to go up here and do a line as well. I'm going to use this as cyan, and I'm going to create another layer. I think I was already one. Yeah, it's called break lines. So I'm going to click on this. There's break lines shows up over here. This is important to help it sort it out. You can move things from one to the other, but I like to not do it that way, so that I have it organized by layer. So I've selected break lines here, and I've got break lines over here. It's showing up. It's highlighted, or it's bolded, so that's the one that's the current layer. And now I'm going to go zoom in here. Now on this particular area, I've got some berms down here, and if I wanted to look at these, you can turn these up and see what I'm talking about here. But this is actually good to see kind of how we go along with this. I'm not going to worry about doing every one of these, but I want to give you the idea of how this works. And this is this point function that allows you to travel along the bottom of this sort of terrain finder, if you will. So I'm going to go with polyline right here, polyline, and we're going to go guided break line. So I'm going to click on guided break line. Then I'm going to click here, and as I move along, see how it just found that break line right there? That's what I want. I'm happy with that. I'm actually going to call that one good. I hit the right button and get out of that. So that's great. Now I'm going to escape out of there. I can also go over here if I want and see what's happening over here, and I can pick up, and you can get as fine as you want to in this. So I'm going to tune it up a little bit right here so I can kind of see where I'm going. And just do this little piece in here. I don't know if it's going to end up over here or not. So we'll just have a look here. So I'll go polyline again. We're going to go guided break line again. We're on the same break lines layer, and I'm going to click here. Just needs a couple of spots, sometimes 3. Yep, it did 2. Oh, so that came out pretty good. And I'm happy with that. We could actually guide it through here, or I think I'm going to do is just go ahead and accept this. Right button, escape again, and then do polyline again. And just kind of guided break line, and click here, and probably just going to have trouble with that. Yeah, I thought it might. Okay, now it picked it up, and then we go through some of these areas here, and it says, okay, I know what you're doing now. That's good enough for what I'm doing. It gives you the idea. So we got a couple break lines in there. So now, got a couple break lines. You could do more of these if you wanted to. This works great along curbs over here. You can see how this is outside of my boundary, but you can see how you've got a curb here, and you can go along and make a polyline here and click a break line. I'll just show you how to work with it. Polyline, and then guided break line, and I'm going to click, let's say, I'm going to click on the top of this and see what it's going to do. And it should pick up and go with the top. Oops, it's not going to work. So let's not do that one. Yes, I'm going to leave that mode right there. Do that again. And sometimes it won't pick it up quite right, but most of the time it does a pretty good job. There it goes. So now it's going to pick up all the low, all along that curve right there. Now it jumped off over here, so I'll have to do some revising. I hit the right button. Okay, so now I can actually revise this a little bit later if I wanted to. Trim this off here, or just redo it. It'd be the easiest way to do it. Okay, so I've got those. Let me just go up the top again here. Look on the top view. To do this, you're going to want to have at least the border, or boundary, excuse me, and you're going to want to have some low pass points, and then some break lines, at your curb and other kinds of things like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a surface from this. So first thing I have to do is select everything, so they're all selected there. You can see my low pass points there, my boundary, and I've got 4 different break lines. You could have 20 or 30 of these break lines. It doesn't really matter. So now we're good with that. You can have several break lines. I've got 20 or 30 here. So I'm going to select everything here. And right click. So it's all selected. Now I'm going to go triangulate all. And boom, triangulates them. So that's good. Now I got a problem over here because I don't want those lines there. So click on the Tools tab that shows up only when you select the surface. Now we want to remove triangles. So I'm going to remove this one here, that one there, and the rest of those look okay. I could get down into here, some details if I needed to, but I think we're good with that. So now the surface looks like I want it. So now I've got a surface, I've got a boundary, I've got break lines, I've got points, and I could do other points. I can add other elements to this if I want to. You can see the triangulation that worked with the break lines here. That's going to give me some different contours as well. So I can actually create contours here if I want to. But what I'd recommend at this point is going over here to export, and we'll go export this. I think it defaults to DXF, but I would use an XML. It goes into CAD really easily, and I would export the survey right there. So I'm just going to call this same as my project name, and I'm going to call that XML. And it's going to have all these elements in it, everything that I've selected. If you don't select everything, it's not going to pull all that stuff in. So I'm going to click OK, save this. Now I'm going to go over here into Civil 3D or into Carlson, either one, and I can go over to Insert, the Insert tab, and I go Land XML. And there's my file right there, that DLP demo 2020. So this comes up as soon as you click on the XML. This comes up, and there's Kogo points in here. And I'm just going to bring everything in for right now. So I'm just going to click OK. You can actually sort through this if you want to pick out what you want or what you don't want. I'm going to click OK to do everything. And now this comes in, gives me some kind of errors if I want to. Now once you're in Civil 3D, obviously you can look on these and see here's your low pass points. I can make this real easily into a point group here. Go to Tool Space and point groups. It all comes in under so LP points. I don't know what's there, but let's try to do this. We have to create a point group. We'll make it new, and we'll call it No Display or whatever we want to do here. No Display, and make this go to None. And this can go to None, and then go to Include. We include all points. Click Apply, click OK. So there's all of our points just turned off because over here in Tool Space, my No Display is at the top. Way easier than over here, and I want to show this to you. In here, you have this, unselect everything, so that's fine. And I can turn this stuff off so you can see what's going on. I'm going to turn all these off here. And there's my boundary. Okay, boundary, leave that on. Turn my break lines off. Okay, so we're good there. So now you can actually go over here and go to Home and click on Contours, and it'll create contours. That's what your contour set looks like. So if you look at that, that's just like not right. So that's 1/10 of a foot interval. Let's go with 1 foot interval. And yeah, there we do. And make this a different color so you can see them a little better. We'll make the majors this cyan color and make the minor gray. So there. So now you can see, look at the tons more detail here, and all the contours is picking up all the trees and everything like that. Well, I've just eliminated all that stuff. And I can export this contours out like this, but it's just going to be a mess. So we don't do contours like that. It's just way too much. Even at 1 foot, you're still picking up all the trees and everything. So compare that to what I've got over here. This looks like a much more normal surface. Obviously, I want to work with these break lines a little bit. This is not exactly maybe how I'd want to do that. But the rest of the contours look pretty good.